you. Thank you for being here at Off Script with Debbie. And today we're going to talk about what to do when we're not okay. As ministry wives, sometimes we're not okay. I love this hashtag, hurting with hope still hurts. We have Jesus, we have hope, but sometimes we still hurt. And what do we do with that? I have some amazing women in our audiences, and they're going to show you their facial expressions of what they feel like when they're not okay. Come on up. Thank you. So if you're at home right now and you're watching this video, I want you just to make that expression, whatever you would have when you're not okay. We all have times where we're not okay. And I know it affects us all differently. For me personally, when I went through a time of not being okay, and when I'm saying not okay, I'm not talking a 24-hour not okay. I'm talking an okay that lasts for a season. And I found for me, I lost my joy. I was faking it really good. And most people couldn't tell. But I put on that little mask of joy, but it wasn't my joy. It wasn't the joy of the Lord. I faked it. And I fake it well because I was a pastor's kid, so I knew how to fake it. But you know what? Christ really helped me and helped me know that it's okay to reach out and say I need help when I'm not okay. And that's what we're going to talk about today. I have an amazing author here that's going to share with you a time in her life when she wasn't okay. And we're going to hear what she did and how God helped her through that time. Thank you. I'm excited for you to meet her. Thank you. I am so excited for you to meet this guest. It's a good friend of mine, Joanna Weaver. She is Skyping in from Montana with us. And Joanna is just an amazing friend. She's an author. She wrote the book, Having a Mary Heart in a Martha World. If you haven't read it, you need to get it. It changed my life as a pastor's wife who wanted to do everything. I kind of forgot to sit at God's feet. Excellent book. It's sold over 1 million copies. So I just want you to know she's like a real author that makes money. She's an awesome pastor's wife. She's also a mother, and she just became the grandmother of twins. So excited for you. She's also quite the prankster. And when I was in Montana doing a retreat, I was exhausted one night. Joanna was there just supporting me and being a help. And I went into my room, and I decided to take like a quick shower. And I pulled back my shower curtain, and they had taken this big stuffed lion.
Raccoon.
Okay, it looked like a lion. And they had stuck it in my shower so that it was like coming out at me. So when I pulled back the shower curtain, I'm not kidding, I almost had a heart attack. And I'm like, oh, and all I could hear were these women out in the hallway, Joanna was one of them, giggling and laughing and running away from my room. So I just want you to get a little part of Joanna, the non-author, the let's have a fun, crazy time person. But Joanna, I'm just happy.
Just a minute.
Yes.
Just to be fair, it wasn't my idea. I didn't stop them.
That's it.
But yes, I was complicit, but not totally guilty.
You were a bystander, but you laughed.
Very much.
Yeah, I know. But I just knew Joanna was the one to be a part of our episode today. And our hashtag is hurting with hope still hurts. And talking about what do we do in ministry when we're not okay. It's not something, you know, that we really talk about a lot. And I just knew Joanna would really be a part of this and would just be an encouragement to all of us here. So Joanna, you had talked to me around one time about that you went through a really difficult time in ministry and that it was just really a hard time. What did you do during that time when you weren't okay? What did God teach you during that time?
Oh my goodness, so much. So much. You know, I'd always been a good girl doing good things. I loved the ministry, but I also really loved people's approval. And God took me through this time where he allowed the removal of approval. And I thought I was going to die. It was a misunderstanding that erupted between me and some of my closest friends. It was godly women who loved Jesus and who were serving him, and yet the enemy had gotten in there and caused division. And no matter how much I tried, I couldn't make it better. In fact, when I did, it made it worse. And I'll tell you what, it undid me to the core because it felt so unfair. And I think that's the hard thing about hard times is it just feels like, wait a minute, don't you know me? Don't you know my heart? And yet, the enemy loves to cause wedges.
Yeah.
And if we're not careful, we can get so hurt and so offended, we begin to build walls. And that's really what happened to me, where I just kind of thought, you know what? This hurts too much. I'm just going to kind of back away, and I'll just be an author and I'll just do that.
Mhm.
But you know what? God's like, honey, I want to do something in you in the middle of this difficulty.
I think there's a lot of wounded ministry wives that build up those walls, and they continue to minister, but they don't do it from the freedom that God would want them to do it from. So what did you do to bring yourself out of this time?
Well, I'll tell you what, I had to get a hold of God
Mhm.
because he had confounded all my fix it methods. I'm really good at fixing. I want everyone to be happy. And so I did everything I could to try to make it okay. But boy, the enemy would just twist it. And we would go from this meeting that felt like we were being reconciled to 2 hours later, words were twisted, the wounds. And here's such an important thing. What I realized during that time was this was not just a satanic attack on me. This was a satanic attack on my friends. And he was working overtime to hurt them just as much as he was hurting me. And I
Wow, good
think that was
word.
really important to remember, because when we go through times like this, we like to draw a line down the sand and we
Mhm.
say, you're my enemy, these are my friends, and we gather our little friends and we can turn it into playground games and oh, just pray because so and so, and God was so good because during that time he held my feet to the fire, and he did not let me go defend myself or try to get people to understand me. In fact, my own husband, who I knew loved me dearly, he wouldn't coddle me. He
Mm.
would not say, poor you. He didn't get offended for me. He didn't go on the offensive and fix
Wow.
those women that were mistreating his wife. And that was the sweetest gift he ever gave
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
It really, really was. We think we want them to defend us. But when we do that, we actually abort the deep, deep work that God is wanting to do in us if we would turn to him in the middle of our pain rather than to our self-pity or the pity of others.
Wow. Great word. That's a really good word. And all ministers need to hear that too, because I think they want to be that, prince on a horse that's going to take care of you. But they do better to let us really grow in our own maturity. I have some questions from our audience they have for you today. And sometimes hurts come in different ways. Maybe we've gone through a loss of someone, or maybe we're just struggling with things personally. And one pastor's wife here in our audience wanted to ask you, how can we as pastors' wives continue to minister and lead in the middle of our hurt?
That's such an important question. Well, I think first of all, we need to understand that hurt is it's global. It doesn't just happen to ministry women. It happens to
That's
all of
right.
us.
True.
I think sometimes we have this idea that we're getting especially hurt because of the ministry. If we weren't in the ministry, we wouldn't hurt so bad. So I think that's the first thing to put to rest. No, life's hard.
Yeah.
Life's hard. Life hurts. And so when I've been able to go divide that and not somehow link that to ministry and say, I'm
Yeah.
really hurting because of ministry, that's helped a lot. I've got some incredibly godly women around me that I know that I could ask for prayer and they would be on it. I think we're afraid, well, because we've sort of set ourselves on a pedestal. We're afraid, what will they think if we're honest? And yet I found it's actually built a deeper bond now. However, I would say there is a difference between being honest and being emotional. Let me just put it this way: and a difference between honesty and emotional diarrhea.
Did she just say the word diarrhea? Oh my word. Okay, we won't bleep it out.
Here's the deal, because where our self-pity takes over and we want an audience. We don't really want prayer. We just want an audience.
Yeah.
And
Right.
so I think we have to be careful.
Probably a good
And there
word for it.
there are some things that, you know what? They're not okay for me to share with the general audience.
Mhm.
Those are things that I need to share with the Lord, number one. Sometimes we don't get around to that. Number two, with my husband. But it's those godly girlfriends God gave me during my difficult time. He gave me one amazing godly friend who was on the outside of the situation. And here was the key: she loved my friends as much as she loved me. So she didn't get offended for me either.
That's good.
And so finding someone who's emotionally mature, even though I'm a writer, I'm a very reluctant journaler. I just don't really like
Okay, that gives us all hope, doesn't it, everybody? All of us. Thank you.
Yes. No, it's been a lifetime of realizing that I really needed that. So getting alone with him. I mean, there have been significant times where I've said to my husband, I'm not okay.
Yeah.
I'm not doing okay. I need to get alone with Jesus. And whether that's going and finding a room at the church and spending a couple hours just snotting in the rug, just crying out my heart before him. Sometimes it's going away for a night and just spending an extended time alone with him, unplugged, just me and Jesus, to where I'm actually processing what's going on rather than trying to shove it down, trying to ignore it, trying to put a Band-Aid on it. So I think just asking the Holy Spirit, what do I need to do to get through this hurt, not wallow in this hurt?
Wow. And I want you to know, Joanna, that was like the next three questions. You answered all of them. You answered like, who do you talk to? I'm like, okay, she just answered that one. Okay, now she's answered that one. So I just want to say thank you, Joanna, for coming and sharing from your heart. Everything you had to say spoke to me too. And you know what? It's okay that we're not okay sometimes, but that we need to get help. Find that trusted friend. Even if we need counseling, Christian counseling, don't be ashamed. I think brave women are the women that say they need help. So let's give Joanna a big hand and just say thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I have a scripture I want to leave you with today. It's found in Psalms 34, 17 through 18. The Lord hears his people when they call to him for help. He rescues them from all their troubles. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted, and he rescues those whose spirits are crushed. I just want you to know, when I went through my time of losing joy, I remember the exact moment I touched the hem of his garment. I knew that he restored me, and he was with me. I wouldn't give up that time for anything because it drew me closer to Christ. I read this Chinese proverb recently, and it said this: you cannot prevent the birds of sorrow from flying over your head, but you can prevent them from building nests in your hair. So I want to encourage you, ministry wives, don't let them build any nests in your head or in your hair. So what would make you as an audience be okay today? Would receiving Joanna's newest book, having a merry spirit? Would this be a great thing for you to have? Each of you in the audience is going to get this from Joanna today, and I hope that it will bless you and encourage you and help you know that God is with you. You are going to be okay. So come on, ministry wives, let's do this. Woo! Broken book. It's okay.